Alright, let's clear this up. The John Wick universe has rules, power, and a very strict hierarchy. In this video, we're breaking down the real structure of the high table. Who's above who enforces the rules, and how the system actually works. No myths, no fluff. Let's get into it. Okay, let's start with the most powerful one in the high table. But his power is not as absolute as you might think. First, the Elder. The Elder sits above the high table itself. He's not one of the 12 seats, and he doesn't represent a crime family. He represents tradition, rules, and the final authority behind the system. When the high table answers to someone, that someone is the Elder. His word can override the table. But he rarely acts unless the balance of the system is truly threatened. Now this is where John Wick comes in. In John Wick, Chapter 3, John seeks out the Elder because killing a high table member puts him beyond forgiveness. The only way back is through the Elder. The Elder agrees to spare John, but only under strict conditions. John must recommit to the rules and kill Winston, someone he respects. That moment is important because it shows the Elder doesn't act out of mercy. Everything is transactional, loyalty for survival. But the Elder's power has limits. In Chapter 4, the high table removes him and replaces him. That tells us something critical. The Elder isn't immortal, and he isn't untouchable. He exists as long as the system allows him to exist. So the Elder is the highest authority. But even he is bound by the rules of the world he represents. Okay, now let's talk about the core of everything. The high table itself. The high table is made up of 12 seats, each controlled by a powerful crime family or organization. These seats represent the highest level of authority in the Underworld. They don't just control assassins. They control rules, territory, money, and consequences. When the high table makes a decision, that decision becomes law across the entire global network. What makes the high table dangerous isn't just their power, but how distant they are. Most of the time, you don't see them. You don't negotiate with them directly. They operate through representatives, enforcers, and systems designed to keep their hands clean. That distance is intentional. It keeps them untouchable and almost mythical. John Wick becomes their biggest problem because he breaks the one thing they value above everything else: obedience. When John kills Santino D'Antonio on Continental grounds, he violates high table law. From that moment on, the high table isn't chasing John out of anger. They're chasing him to protect the system. If the rules don't apply to John Wick, then they don't apply to anyone. Throughout the series, we see the high table punish anyone who helps John. Winston, the Bowery King, Continental staff. Nobody is exempt. This shows how the high table maintains control, not through chaos, but through consistency. Help the enemy and you become the enemy. In Chapter 4, the high table's authority is challenged in a different way. Instead of pure violence, John forces them into their own rules. That's the irony. The only way to fight the high table is to play their game better than they do. Now let's move to the Adjudicator. The Adjudicator is the high table's judicial authority. They're not a seat holder and not an assassin. They exist to judge, punish, and enforce consequences. When the rules are broken, when the Adjudicator appears, it means the high table has already decided something went wrong. In John Wick, Chapter 3, the Adjudicator is sent to investigate who helped John after he was excommunicated. They strip Winston of his title, punish the Bowery King, and shut down the New York Continental. This shows their real power. They don't kill directly. They remove status, protection, and privilege. In the John Wick world, that's often worse than death. Now let's talk about the Harbinger. The Harbinger is a formal emissary of the high table, but his role is more procedural than violent. He represents the table during negotiations, announcements, and official proceedings. When he speaks, he's speaking with the authority of the high table itself. In John Wick Chapter 4, the Harbinger oversees the duel between John Wick and the Marquis. He enforces the rules of the challenge, confirms its legitimacy, and ensures the outcome is honored. The Harbinger exists to make sure even chaos follows structure. He's not there to hunt. He's there to make the system function. After the Harbinger, we move into something less visible, but just as important: high table administration. This is the machinery behind the high table. They don't sit in thrones, and they don't give dramatic speeches, but without them, the entire system collapses. Administration handles records, finances, permissions, logistics, and enforcement coordination. This includes tracking status, debts, penalties, and who is currently in good standing with the high table. We see traces of this throughout the series. Excommunication doesn't just happen verbally, It's processed. Bounties go live instantly. Services shut down worldwide at the same time. That level of coordination doesn't come from the 12 seats acting alone. It comes from a centralized administrative system that updates the entire underworld in real time. When someone is punished, their access disappears immediately. No hotels, no medical help, no protection. That's not personal. That's administration doing its job. It shows that the High Table's power isn't just violence. It's infrastructure. This is why fighting the High Table is almost impossible. And for the last, the Continental system, specifically the managers and concierge. The Continental hotels are neutral ground, operating under High Table law. Every Continental answers directly to the table, not to local crime bosses. The managers, like Winston, are responsible for enforcing the rules inside their territory. They grant protection, approve services, and make sure the hotel remains neutral, no matter who walks through the door. Concierges support that system. They don't make decisions, but they execute them. They coordinate weapons, transport, medical access, and communication. They're the interface between assassins and the system itself. What makes the Continental important is trust. As long as you follow the rules, you're safe. The moment those rules are broken, protection is revoked instantly. We see this when Winston is punished for helping John Wick. His authority is stripped, the hotel is deconsecrated, and the system turns on him. The Continental system proves something crucial. The High Table doesn't need to be everywhere. Their rules are enforced locally, consistently, and without emotion. Managers and concierge aren't just staff. They're the front line of High Table control. Once the system fails, everything falls apart. And John Wick spends the entire series pushing it to that breaking point. So yeah, that's the structure of the High Table in the John Wick universe, from the Elder. At the top all the way down to the systems that keep everything running. If this breakdown helped you understand how the world actually works, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It really helps us build more quality content like this in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.